let's know who's reporting to who. Let's know, what my prospects of ascending that is. And this is how we place almost a lot of businesses in Nigeria.
Because it impedes productivity.
Exactly. So you don't know what to aspire to. You don't know whether if you go for a professional examination or, upgrades, your chances of getting higher pay will, because you don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that they've reached an agreement, but we've been here too many times. And my question is, now that it has been put down on paper, where either party defaults, does the agreement also stipulate clearly how to remedy it? Where it doesn't it, then it means we're back here again. One strike. Exactly. But let's give them time. They've asked for time. That's the ministry has asked for time. And now that they're saying the salary and wages commission is a issue of condition of service, let's see how much that can pull through.
We wait to see how that unfolds. Moving on to Guardian newspaper, the main actors in the IAAF's missing $135,000 drama yesterday revealed how the money was spent by the sports ministry and some key officials of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. So what had happened was the IAAF, that's the International Athletics Federation, had, according credited the accounts of the Nigeria Athletics Federation
mistakenly,
by mistake.
They don't make such mistakes.
And the money had been spent.
They were supposed to send I think
$15,000. They added an extra zero, and I sent $150,000. It's not the kind of it's not the kind of mistake you make with Nigerians. It is.
And now they've revealed how the money has been spent.
This is the kind of story that makes you like this. This kind of story that you are thinking of your next vacation. You're like, should I just stay in my country before I can embarrass myself outside? Because this is the kind of stories that give our green passports the kind of treatment that it gets. So the IAAF was transferring money to the Athletics Federation of Nigeria and transferred $150,000 instead of $10,000. And so that this sum of $135,000 be remitted back to them.
The number you called is not available.
I mean, it's funny, but it's also not funny. This is not, how we carry bad character outside. We carry our own training outside.
Or lack of it thereof.
Exactly, or lack of it thereof. This is terrible. And news, it has, what they try to hide has broken. And when you see the excuses that has been given, so it's not even a fact that, we were monies, there's a process. I don't know what kind of process will take 2 years, but look for something tidy. And then we hear that athletes were going for some events, they didn't have kits, and there was no other money in the ministry apart from the IAF money that does not belong to us. So we decided to spend it, and we decided to spend $108,000 to procure kits. And then we wanted to participate in the on the 20 Athletics Championship in Cote d'Ivoire, and we do not have money as well, except the IAF's money that does not belong to us. And so we approved another 13 million naira.
I need to say something Yoruba. It says Iwa, be a thing, and its character is like smoke. You can't put it, you can't enclose it.
It's just who we are.
That accountability that we've left for so long. We have now carried the embarrassment to the outside world.
No, it's not.
How exactly? How does that make any sense? 2017, the error was made. The very next day,
before you start getting tempted with kids, and
after you shouted, yeah,
exactly,
then
you return it. And then the question is, what would have happened
if they didn't raise the alarm?
No. What would have happened if there was no error? If they had sent 15,000,
where would they have gotten money from?
Where would the money for kids have come from? Where would the money for traveling?
We would not have gone.
No, would have gone.
Would not have gone because we didn't go, or we went and then we were not properly kitted, so we didn't end up showing up at the event. So it won't be the first time.
Are you saying
no, we don't have
money?
The truth of the matter is, this is the excuse that has been given. When we investigate
People that they're
properly.
supposed to.
People, when we investigate properly, we'll see properly where the money went to. But more importantly, now that the story has broken, it is the action that is taken. I mean, it's a different thing when we embarrass ourselves like this. It's a different thing when we don't do anything to correct the embarrassment. So if nothing happens to the actors that were involved in this debacle, then we think further.
Yes, but doesn't that expose the governments governments? I mean, how they drag themselves or drag
Okay,
their
so this is
efforts
the thing.
in making sure that they provide for this case. Because I'm having nostalgia.
Excuse me, we don't have shame.
The Super Falcons once went without a kit.
That's why I said that.
Tournament.
Yes,
Adenike
that's why I already said
Yes.
that. It's either we show up and then we're not properly kitted, and what
Or
would
we
happen?
don't show up at
Exactly, we would not show up. We don't have shame.
I
That's
think
what
the
it is.
question on this particular issue now is who are the
Who?
signatories to the account?
Who?
You know, when the money came, who are the signatories? Who signed it out? Because at this point, the resignations need to happen. Don't you
That's
think?
the point. The fact that, okay, we've done this bad thing, but is it going to be another bad deed swept under the carpet, saying that, well, this one involves international money?
All right. Okay, so we're moving on. Adenike, this should give you, this should make you happy. This should make you happy. For those of us who live in Lagos, and you know, we've been complaining about the Apapa gridlock. The presidency has ordered the immediate clearing of the gridlock at the Apapa port area.
Isn't this the fourth or fifth time?
Truck operators have been given up to 72 hours.
You deserve
72
chewing gum.
hours.
You deserve chewing gum for that. I remember very well seeing the picture of the vice president in the helicopter last year when he came to Lagos. Exactly. I'm like, and it was also in the news shortly after that, in July last year, that shortly or before, I can't remember, but in July last year, the vice president said, hey, we give you people so and so, number of hours for you to clear out the gridlock. Nothing happened. Who remembers when the president came to Lagos? And we just slept and woke up, voila. You know, the trauma, the pain, and all of it went. And for me as a person, it just, I've started to ask the question that, is it that the government doesn't understand how mentally draining it is to live in Lagos? That stretch is a horrific experience for any single person. Now the president has called, hey, I give you guys 72 hours. Am I excited about it? No, I'm not. Good thing is happening. I'm not sure it's going to be follow-ups, whether for the Ambody government that has a few days, or for the Sanwo-Olu government that is. And speaking of Sanwo-Olu, he had also mentioned that it was going to be days, from May 29th, 60 days. So I want to see what happens. But I'm glad that there's a presidential task force. And not only are they saying they're going to clear, because it became news that it was from sort of a business, what's the word they use for those back there? Cartel.
Yes.
And I remember listening to someone who broke down the process of how much each truck was paying to people to park on the bridge.
Especially the Navy and the police.
Exactly, every single day.
That's somebody's stream of income.
Yes.
Exactly. So my question is, if we're saying we should clear them, what are the alternatives? The Apapa port, for instance, let's ask ourselves, when last did we make major structural adjustments, to the ports, to the expanding size and astronomical number of Nigerians? How many other ports can also service? Cheta always talks about it. All the time he talks about the Apapa port and all the other places and how we can move goods and services. Now the presidential task force is coming. There's a person, a member of the team, Kayode Opefa. And when I read this downstairs, I was thinking to myself, this dude was for Commissioner of Transportation. I'm hoping that because he understands in code the nook and crannies of how Lagos works, that's why they brought him on board specifically for this purpose. But we are watching and we are wondering, what other avenues are you creating for these truck drivers to park? They're recommending a few things. They are saying that an efficient and effective management plan for the entire port area traffic, including the cargo, fuel distribution, and business district traffic, enforcing the permanent removal of all stationary trucks on the highway, and the development of an effective manual truck call-up system, pending the introduction of the electronic truck call-up system. And it sounds very beautiful, listening to me and seeing it. I'm wondering, are we going to really do this? If we are going to do this, do not let us go and start jumping before and start, getting too excited about it. If in a week we see that these trucks are back.
But they said in the interim,
72
they'll move
hours
them to
starts
the
counting
Lily
from
Pond
when?
terminal.
Yes, they are moving them. And reality about it is, look, you guys, let's not get biased. again, I'm saying that there are several ports in Nigeria. There's Rivers, there's Calabar, well, I don't know if Delta still works and at what capacity. Apapa Port, the whole idea started in 1913. What have we done? And that cuts across everything and who that we are. If the president is saying clear the road, the entire stretch, let them clear it, but do not clear it for the short term, long-term goals.
Yes.
Thank you. Ibrahim says on WhatsApp, I'm wondering what prompted this sudden order for the trucks to be evacuated. Anyways, better late than never. My question is, where did they expect them to go? Willy Pond.
The place where they went the other time.
Exactly.
To go camp somewhere else and constitute a nuisance. Is this in conjunction with the incoming governor's plan to clear the site within 60 days of assuming office? We shall see, he said. Thank you, Ibrahim. And more messages are coming in, but let's get into the next story.
All right, next story. I think I'll continue with this one. Yes, and this is from this day newspaper. The Senate yesterday resolved to. Okay, PDP. All right. I think I'll have to come to that one later.
So PDP reacts as Bulkachua quits presidential poll tribunal. This was drama yesterday, and it was interesting because from the Punch newspaper, according to this report, it reported across major newspapers this morning, but we'll pick this one. The president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Zainab Bulkachua, on Wednesday, that was yesterday, withdrew as a member of the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. Why? Because there were allegations made by the PDP camp of likelihood of bias leveled against her by some members of the party, especially the council that's representing both the presidential candidates for the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and the party itself. Well, please take us through this story for me.
Okay, so Atiku Abubakar had filed an application asking that she be removed as the chairman of the Presidential Election Tribunal panel on the basis that her husband is a senator-elect on the platform of the APC and that her son was a governorship aspirant on the platform of the same party, APC. And so they felt that, there was a reasonable suspicion of likelihood of bias.
Yes.
And it was on that basis that they brought the application. The application was not successful. The courts held that they did not prove any likelihood of bias enough, but subsequently Shiva herself decided to recuse herself for what she termed personal reasons. Now there's been a lot of argument back and forth over this issue, I know, but my personal opinion, I mean, if you look at let's look at the provisions of the Code of Conduct for Judicial Officers. What the rule says, what Rule 12.1 says particularly, is that a judicial officer should disqualify himself in a proceeding in which his impartiality may genuinely or reasonably be questioned.
Yes.
So the key point is the reasonable. I mean, there's no allegation of maybe videotape or something. So it's about reasonableness of it. And there's a legal fictional we call the reasonable man, and the man is supposed to be you and I. What would he think if he heard that the wife of somebody sitting on the panel was spouse to a strong member of the party? Would a reasonable man on the street think that justice will be done? So it's not specifically about whether she's biased yet. It's about the reasonableness of it. There's the optics, exactly. That there's a principle we like to cite: justice must not only be done, it must be seen to have been done.
But Funmi, do you think the statements, I mean, them making their assumptions based on the statement that she made is strong enough to push forward the suit? You already established that it may not be enough, but let's for clarity, the statement she made in the court processes, she said elections are held in Nigeria every 4 years into elective positions. No matter how well the elections are conducted, there are bound to be complaints.
Yeah, well,
they just, after that, there was an uproar.
You know, when you're already suspecting that somebody might be biased, there's a tendency to see every statement in the light of the lens with which you're viewing the person. And I don't think it was only about that statement. It was basically about the fact that, well, you are married to somebody that is a strong member of the opposing party. There've been some comments about the fact that the story says that while some people were alienated, INEC's lead counsel had mentioned that the position that PDP has of his holding is discriminatory against female judges that may be married to politicians. I'm not sure the situation would be different if it was a male judge that had a wife that was strong. The main point is that your link to the respondents in this case is too strong for us to waive. So at least many that she did the right thing. Let's put an end to the drama. Let the petition start fully.
Wow. Anyway, messages here on WhatsApp. What I'll think of that story. Bingo says, though it's taken a presidential directive from Abuja to clear the trucks from the roads and restore sanity to the ports and the adjoining streets, I think this move should be celebrated. The lawlessness and impunity on this axis are beyond measure. Let's see who will flout this directive. I think for me, just beyond the lawlessness, I'm scared on that bridge when I pass there.
It is
There's
scary.
a part you get to, you see there's a widening gap.
I went to Iponri sometime last month. I'll be honest, I passed just under, and I'm being honest, I just said, oh my God, if and when this bridge does collapse, the measure of damage that will happen, and you can see clearly, you don't have to be an engineer. You know that
something is wrong.
There's something wrong with the bridge.
Almost looks like fault lines. But I mean, let's move on to the punch for this next story, and I'll come to you, Adenike. Airport scanners not functioning. Who says this? So the the senior special assistant to the president on foreign affairs and diaspora, Adenike, on Wednesday made this statement in reaction to certain suspicions that there was an accusation that was placed on two airlines that they were running drug cartels at Nigerian airports. They also mentioned, according to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that they had fewer sniffer dogs.
Are we supposed to call the airlines? No.
I don't even know. No, we shouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Just...
first thing I said when I saw it downstairs, I told Funmi, I said, how is this even news? But it's news because, to me, I feel like the fact that she's saying authoritatively to the Senate committee that these two airlines are running a drug cartel means that they have substantial evidence. And the bigger question is, what do they intend to do with the information that they have? Are we just going to tell the Senate committee and move on? The fact that Zainab Aliyu somehow and thankfully was returned to her family and the nation safe doesn't mean that several other Nigerians will get that end of the stick.
Right.
Conversations have started to spiral around who her father was and why the story got clout and the measure that the man had put in ensuring that his daughter safely returned. I'm sure that there's somebody listening whose family member may have been picked up and the person has stated categorically, I did not carry this drug. What happens? What's the fate of a family like that if Dabiri Erewa, who is the senior special assistant to the president of foreign affairs and diaspora, as well as the chairman of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission, what would we do with that information that she has disclosed now? Because it's a real big deal. And if anything, it's supposed to make headlines, supposed to make front page if both airlines and both nations understand the gravity of, but because Nigeria, the story is hidden somewhere, and both airlines or both countries have not deemed it fit to say, you know what, we're going to send our emissary, we're coming here, let's talk about this. Now they're saying that the scanners are not working, and as if you travel, you're just upset at the fact that there's so many physical checking of your luggage, and you're wondering, when are we going to go digital? There's a measure to which they physically check you, they patch you, and even after patching you, you still walk through the scanners. When are we going to get this right? They say 50 security people, and I want to ask, does she mean 15 per person, or in general at the checkpoint there are 15 people checking all travelers? If that is a story, then I think maybe it's time for us to consider how to invest in technology a lot more. And they're saying that sniffer dogs are fewer. Why is NDLEA telling us that? How is that making? Are we okay? They want them to buy and.
No, let's bring our bingo.
Oh.
But then again, just for objectivity, the particular airport that raised this concern is the Aminu Kano International Airport.
Yes, and they're saying that this is happening. But my question is, I bet that if we go to the Murtala or Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, it's happening everywhere. What are we doing?
Okay, can I just quickly add to what Adenike said? in this country of always wondering why bad people are bad. Like it's a situation of, oh, these countries are running drug cartels. I mean, we know that anywhere that they find where the security is lack,
the airlines.
Well, any country that they find that the system there. So if US was lax enough, they'll be doing it in US. If UK was lax enough, they will be. So it's not about them. It's about we have created a system that makes it easy. We should stop complaining that they are criminals. It's the world we live in. It's how we build a system that prevents them from operating in our space.
Right. Thank you, Funmi. Tosin from Ikoyi sent a message, says, please, why can't the airlines be mentioned, though? Isn't it news?
That's right. That's why I asked Valentine. I don't get to
All right. This one is from, please add your names to your messages so we can take them. This one here says, from Chris, she did the right thing. Oh, boy. Okay. We'll take them much later. Okay, Taya, send this one from Yaba.
All right, Tayo from Yaba says, I need money too. Can the actors of the sports ministry also send me a charity organization? Excuse for corruption. I wonder what excuse is next to justify indiscipline. Kai, order from above. Papa tankers should clear road because it's word of mouth and there's a 60 days countdown from incoming governor. My ears are paining me from too much English by government. The judge, as an experienced legal person, should be able to know how his or her position in matters with personal interest can impair his or her ability to function. Bold move by the judge were impressed.
All right.
Okay, so
we have this one.
All the issues.
Chris says she did the right thing by recusing herself. The judgment of the court that she's not likely to be biased despite the provisions of the Judicial Code of Ethics. Can they tell us what all we need to know? She's likely to influence proceedings and outcomes as a member of the panel. Let's move on very quickly to the next story from the Guardian newspaper. Representatives to indict 15 banks over non-remittance of 1.5 billion naira stamp duties. Please take us through this story for me.
Okay, unfortunately, the details from the story are sketchy, but the Abubakar Yunusa Ahmed-led committee has indicted 15 banks for failing to remit stamp duties promptly as and when due, and they've enjoined the Central Bank of Nigeria to penalize the banks found culpable of the infractions and to pay the amounts they failed to remit from 2015 to date with interest. I wish there were more details. I wish we had the banks, the amounts, and all of that, but the details are too sketchy. But I mean, this is more an indictment on the CBN. Usually, I don't know, I'm more against the enforcer than the people actually committing the infractions. I mean, it's terrible to commit the infractions, but the reason why they would continue is if there's no penalty for it. It's as simple as it sounds. It's almost like what happens on our Lagos roads. You know, one person caught and faces oncoming traffic, and because to avoid traffic, you let that person go. 5 more cars, 10 more cars join. It's the culture we have in this country. If we don't begin to penalize, if we don't begin to hold people accountable, we'll find a repeat of all these things. If the reps have a report saying that stamp duties have not been remitted since 2015, 4 years, that is a serious issue. And that is a serious issue which must be dealt with. So it's about calling the CBN to rise up to its responsibilities. And if I do hope that the reps report as well would be made public, let's know the banks, let's know how much is involved. That way it's easier to hold them accountable.
Thank you very much, Funmi. Let's move on to this next story. Now, it's a health report saying that 850,690 Nigerians are at risk of mercury poisoning. This was made known in a one-day health sensitization program to flag up field assessments of a group's activities in the country. The World Health Organization is the alarm that enough persons in 12 states in Nigeria have been exposed to mercury poisoning. Your thoughts on this, Adenike?
Okay, so the WHO is saying that
a global organization to expose this.
How many things do we do by ourselves? What is worrying this boy? I'm not giving you to go again.
Christ. coming up.
There's a report recently done in Kenya about how artisanal mining
Yes,
is
artisanal,
causing
yes.
mercury out problem in communities.
And just newspaper, the Securities and Exchange Commission have approved or has approved new rules for trading of shares on the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Yeah, so we have a couple of new rules. We have the rules for listing on the growth board of the NSE to be effective from June 17. We have rules governing free float requirements for issuers listed on the NSE. We have rules on price stabilization of securities. We have rules on release calendar for regulatory announcements and filing of listed companies. And the good thing about these rules is the effective dates, they give them some time. Some become effective in June, some in September. And all the rules have been approved by SEC. They were approved on the 6th of May. I mean, this is one area of our business world that we seem to have it on ground. We're doing.
There's plenty of money here, especially as the yellow company and
Nobody can buy.